Today is a very beautiful day, as you can see. We are here well dressed, ready for work. And I wanted to give you one advice. If you are a driver out there or a person aspiring to become a taxi driver, you should tone down your appetite to own a vehicle for yourself. You should reduce your appetite to own a vehicle, especially if you are a taxi driver. I know one of the biggest dream of any taxi driver is to have a vehicle of their own. As we know, over 50% of the taxi vehicles that you see on the roads are owned by other people other than those who drive them. Meaning that a lot of people who drive taxi vehicles, like this one you are seeing here, my Nissan March here, a lot of people who have vehicles like these ones are employees, meaning that they pay the owners of those vehicles some money, weekly, daily, monthly, upon themselves to decide. But a lot of drivers dream of owning their own vehicles. But in this video, I will give you some few reasons as to why owning a vehicle should not be a priority for any driver. If you sit down with a pen and a paper, you will come up to this realization that owning a vehicle is not actually a priority for business. It is a priority only if you have other things to do with that vehicle apart from doing taxi driving full time. And you will come to realize that by the end of this video. And to demonstrate to you the reasoning behind my story, I am going to give you a story of a guy that I have been advising on how to join taxi driving, and he has been there for close to 2 years now. He came to me telling me that he was able finally to purchase a vehicle of his own. He went for a second-hand vehicle like 4 months ago, and it was a big achievement. But when he came to me, we were not actually discussing the achievements. We were discussing his take home has gone down. The amount of money that he has been taking home has gone down. And just to give you the backdrop of this story, the guy was driving a partner's vehicle for about 3 years. He was able to save some money, around 500k, to buy a car of his own. The partner, he was a very loyal guy and a good driver. The partner was asking him around 1,300 per day. So every other money he made was his money, but the partner was asking only 1,300 per day. That guy was very loyal. He was a good driver. He used to pay that money like punctually to the partner, and the partner was very happy with him at the end of the 3 years. But one thing that this guy was not aware of is that the moment you buy your own car, and I will, relate this to what drivers always talk to me about. Every time I speak to drivers, they always complain that the partner is not taking care of the car. Every time drivers have new demands to partners. Today this, today that. I think the tires are getting worn out, come and repair. I think the come and replace. I think the consumption of the vehicle has gone up. Please come and change the spark plugs. I think today this, tomorrow that. Every time drivers are complaining that the partner should replace something, and they are very angry when the partner does not take immediate action to replace what they are asking for. So going back to my story, this guy, when he acquired this vehicle, he was very happy that finally he got his vehicle. But he was not aware that, because for him, he was looking forward to save the 1,300 shillings that he gives to the partner every day. He was like, now this money will be mine. But he forgot that the partner was taking care of the car. You get my point? And this is something that a lot of drivers always fail to understand. They think that the money they are giving to the partner, the 1,300 per day or the 1,500 per day, or the 1,000 per day, they think that the partner is pocketing all that money. And that's why a lot of drivers are bitter with partners, because they feel like the partner is just pocketing money and not spending. So this guy of mine was hit by what we call reality shock. After buying that car, he was like, now I want to make this car as comfortable as possible. So he went into a spending spree. He was spending money to make that car look good. First of all, he did a replacement of all the four tires. That was around 16,000. Another time he went to the garage, they said you should change spark plugs. Another time he went there, they told him you should change the shocks, all the four shocks. He replaced them. Another time it was time to, I don't know, to replace the steering rack. All through the 4 months, he has just been doing some cosmetic changes into his vehicle. And until today, he still has some changes planned that he needs to do replacement. So when he came to me, I told him, my brother, all the changes you are making are good, but they are not necessary. A business vehicle can never be perfect. Even personal vehicles, they can never be 100 perfect the way you want them to feel. Like this vehicle of mine, I've been planning to put some leather seats, some leather seat covers. I have postponed that, but it has not prevented me from doing what I do with this vehicle. It can still take me around until I have a luxury budget for the leather seat covers. I will still continue to use this vehicle the way I am using it. But for this guy, of course, he wasn't understanding that at the end of the day, all these changes you are making to your vehicle will consume into your take home. So the guy has come to me and told me that, I have realized that owning a vehicle is actually not advantageous. I miss those days when I used to drive a partner's vehicle. Those days when I never used to incur any cost on that vehicle. My only cost was to pay the partner. And he says that with his car, with his management of the car, he feels like owning a car is too expensive for him, because he cannot drive a car that is not perfect, and it is costing him a lot. It is impossible for him to internalize imperfections, to drive a car that have shocks that are not perfect, to drive a car that has something that is not perfect. As long as that thing is not presenting a security risk or a safety risk to you, you should be able to put up with that thing. And a lot of drivers have been raising this question, that when you pay a partner 30,000, 35,000 per month, why shouldn't you go to a showroom in Mombasa or Kilimani and take a car loan with a Muhindi on hire purchase, and instead of paying your partner the 30 or the 35,000, why don't you go and pay loan? You the 30,000, use them to repay a loan and own that car permanently. But let me tell you, it is costly to own a car. The moment you go and take that car from that Muhindi on hire purchase, remember, you need to install the trackers. You need to buy all the insurance. Comprehensive insurance is not cheap for new vehicles. Remember, you need to pay for inspection. You need to do the regular services. All the replacement I have talked about. If you need some cosmetics around your vehicle, it will be upon you to do all those stuff. And I can tell you guys, it is not cheap. It is not cheap. So what I am advising you guys, if you know that you are a person who is not comfortable with a car that is not perfect, don't go and buy that car. If you cannot embrace imperfections, the only things that I tell taxi drivers to focus on are things that pose a safety threat, like driving a vehicle with with tires that are completely worn out, maybe driving a vehicle that has brake pads that are completely out of order. But a few things, like maybe a bearing that is making some few noise, you can use it for a week as you wait to raise some more money. Some shock absorbers that are out of order, you can use it and drive carefully for some time, in my view, until you get some more money. You don't need to buy some new carpets for your car. You don't need to put leather seats for your vehicle. You know, I drove my vehicle for a whole 1 month with a bearing that was making noise. It wasn't very bad, but it was not to stop me from doing what I was doing. The same thing with putting stronger springs. The springs, some people are like, instead of driving your car carefully over the bumps so that it does not touch, some people would prefer to go and spend money on raising the suspension so that you cross the bumps faster. For me, I would say be patient as you cross over the bumps. Do the zigzag turns so that you avoid touching the bumps instead of spending the 8,000 or the 16,000 to replace your suspension. So guys, this is my advice. If you know that you cannot be comfortable with a very imperfect vehicle, don't go and buy a car, because it is expensive to maintain a vehicle, and it might turn out that you will spend more money than what you used to spend by paying your partner. So paying a partner, by the way, for me is a very, very convenient arrangement with a driver, because all you need to do is just pay a partner his 1,300 shillings, and the rest of the money that you make is yours. In case your partner's car has an issue, it is for him to go and do the repairs. It is for him to take care of any replacement. You don't care. Even if that car will be on garage for a whole week, all the cost will be absorbed by someone else. And owe to you, if you buy a vehicle and you don't have an emergency budget for it, I always tell drivers, always put 500 shillings aside to take care of your car in case of an emergency. That guy that I was speaking about, he has not sent any money aside. He usually takes that money from his, savings, from his daily earnings to purchase the things he has been purchasing. But my advice has always been, put aside 500 shillings for emergency purpose. Sometimes I told you that even if you have a comprehensive cover, it is not advisable for drivers to go for those claims for your car to stay in a garage for a whole 3 weeks. I would propose that instead of you going to seek insurance to repair your car on minor damage or headlight replacement, just go and pay cash. Maybe it will cost you like 10,000, and your car will be back on the road immediately, instead of making it stay in garage for a whole 1 week or a whole 1 month. You get my point? So it is not cheap, because if your car has an incident and you have not set aside an emergency budget for your vehicle, I'm telling you, you will start borrowing, and people will already have known you as a car owner, as a person who owns his own vehicle, and they will be wondering, why are you borrowing? You get my point? So guys, be strategic. I am not advising you not to go for new vehicle, for your own cars, but be strategic. When you buy a car, service it to the just enough levels. Don't go for some cosmetic improvements on your Uber vehicle, because it will cost you a lot. Be as simple as possible. Focus on the essentials. Don't do a lot of things like tinting, improvements that are not necessary. Some people have installed music systems in their vehicles, saying that it will attract more customers. No, a lot of trips in Nairobi are random. You get them through the app, and app will not recommend trips to you because you have a music system installed. If you are in Mombasa, this would make sense. I had a trip to Mombasa, and I came to realize that offline trips play a big role in drivers' income in Mombasa, because there are so many restaurants, a lot of hosts in terms of Airbnb, a lot of guest houses that are in partnership with the drivers. And as you know, Mombasa is a tourist city, so a lot of people visit those places, and drivers get a lot of frequent orders from hotels for pick and drop, as well as travel agencies. They have partnered with drivers for pick and drops when you arrive. You get my point? So in Mombasa, investing in offline trips could require you to invest in cosmetics arrangement with your vehicle, so that it looks nice, so that it can be hired. But in Nairobi, I can tell you, offline trips are not a big contributors into drivers' income, especially for the chap vehicles. Maybe for Excel, you can tell me about it. But for the small vehicles, guys, be very considerate when purchasing your own vehicle. Do your math. If it doesn't make sense, drive your partner's car. If it makes sense, go for it, guys. Cheers, bye.